Hi, it's Hannes, and today's my birthday. So normally on my birthday I'm giving a present or a gift or something away in order to help people to create, to grow, to protect their wealth, because we are wealth creators, and a wealth creator knows how to create, to grow, and to protect their wealth. And today is maybe a little bit different, because we were supposed to go to Panama today, and I did not plan anything specifically for this year. Simply because of this Panama story. So we've packed our stuff that we wanted to take with, our suitcases and stuff, and then yesterday, of course, we had to do a COVID test in order to see, you can't get on the plane and in a country without a COVID test. And then this morning we figured out and find out that Tanya and myself, that we are positive. Now, it's not positive in a good sense, it's positive that we can't go to Panama and that we can't fly and we can't get on the plane. So, as I'm doing this recording, my children are busy, they're on the airport and they're going to leave without us. So for the next, I don't know, 10 or 14 days, we're going to be in quarantine. And then, of course, thereafter, we're going to see what's going to happen. Now, when that happens, everything in life, there's a good and a bad. By the way, we are healthy, we feel good. This morning, because of my birthday, I did 64 push-ups in less than 64 seconds, in fact less than 60 seconds. So I feel good, right? I don't know what's going to happen further on, but at this stage we're okay. Now, what's the greatest gift that I think that I can give you at this point in time? Over the last 5 years, I started looking into a new asset class, Bitcoin, right? Based on the blockchain technology. And at first I was very, very skeptical. But if I look at what has happened over the last 5 years with my personal portfolio, there's absolutely nothing, not my property portfolio, not even my businesses, that outperform the growth that I had on my cryptocurrency portfolio. And I thought, what if, this is of course after what happened this morning, now that I'm focusing on how can I add value to you, I thought, what is that thing that I can do over the, let's say the next year, that maybe can help you, and at the same time give you something of serious value. So there's going to be 1 or 2 or 3 little gifts that I'm going to give you, that's going to help you to get your investments and take your investments to the next level. So that is what I want to focus on, is specifically on Bitcoin in training, and I'm going to dedicate a channel or a playlist on what I plan to do, and then in that planning also give you training so that, well, hopefully that you'll be able to do what I'm going to do. And this is what I want to tell you. Right, so right at the end of this video, I'm going to share with you what's in it for you, right? But I'd like to take this as a little training session, because a lot of my students do not know about the seed story. And this is why the average person, because they don't understand how the system operates, the financial system, even the educational system, because they don't understand that, they stay in the rat race. And the system is structured in such a way that it's going to be impossible for you to get out of this rat race. It is virtually impossible unless you understand the basic investment principles and how to 10x and 20x and 40x your growth on your investment in order to be able to get to what we call financial freedom, where you can do what you want, when you want, where you want, how you want, with whom you want, without worrying about money. And this is the start. Now, I'm not sure if I'm going to do it. I did not plan on this, and for that reason, I'm not rigged to see how it's going to work. So I'd like you to, first of all, subscribe to this channel, if not already. First of all, like it, right? That's going to help the algorithm to tell other people about it. And I want to get this message out to as many people as possible, because I can promise you that the financial system is not going to help me, and even YouTube is not going to help me to get this message out. Then the second thing is, please do that subscribe story. and then hit that icon, that bell icon, so that you can be notified as soon as the next video in this playlist is ready. And as I've said, I plan to do 52s on that. But before we get into how you will benefit from this, I'd like to give you a short, let's call it a training in terms of how the system operates. So what we do not understand is we do not understand what risk is, because we think risk is when someone else tells you about, you know, how risky an investment. For example, Bitcoin. When I started with Bitcoin, everyone said it is an extremely risky business or investment. And initially, because I believed that, I didn't get into it because of the extreme volatility. But once I started getting into it and I understood how it works, my perception changes to such an extent that I started embracing this. And I can categorically tell you that over the last 5 years, that asset class in my portfolio has outperformed anything that I've ever done in my life. The opportunity that is there is so big that it is unreal. Okay, so let's get to the financial system and how it operates and why you're going to get stuck in this rat race. So when I hand my money over to someone else, what do? I immediately take a massive risk. I'm taking 100% risk. Why? We think Bitcoin is volatile, but with Bitcoin, we can lose some of our money. With those investments, you can lose all of your money. Of course, with Bitcoin, you can also lose it. But the perception is that, no, it's safe because they do a risk profile for us and then say a portion of your investments in a low risk and a portion in medium risk and a portion in high risk, that sort of stuff. So normally what happens if we look at risk, we understand that it's the risk, the deviation of model, or the risk-based model, which says that the lower the risk, the lower the growth, and the higher the risk, the higher the growth. And then they're going to plot us on something like this return in terms of investment. But what we don't get is that all of those products are not physical products. It's not your asset. You are just giving a piece of paper saying that you've got a portion of that asset. So that asset does not invest in your name whatsoever. Right. Now, I discovered this actually in 1987 when I developed the Property Pro investment system. And at that point in time, I understood, because Warren Buffett says that risk is when you do not know what you're doing. And you do not know, I guarantee you that you don't know what you're doing when you hand your money over to someone else, because you're taking all the risk and you've got no control over the growth. And as I developed the Property Pro investment system, I discovered that there's 27 variables. That's how we started. And each and every variable represents a risk. And by identifying the risk, I could start building a skill set around that risk to mitigate the risk or to eliminate the risk completely, even before I get into that property investment transaction. And that's when it started. But initially, when I started, I thought, no ways, it can't be. Because I'd made the discovery that the lower the risk, the higher the growth. Which is exactly the opposite to what this risk profile, this risk indicator tells us. And that is that low risk equals low growth. Nowadays, we call it asymmetrical structuring, where there's very little risk that you can get into and you're prepared to take with unlimited or with huge upside. And the moment that you understand that concept, the moment that I got that on the cryptos, that is where I structure a portfolio and with phenomenal growth on that. Okay, I'm not going to get into the growth. This is not to try to convince you to invest in cryptos. It is just to give you the ability to see that once you understand something that most people do not understand, what the profit is there. Now, at that point in my life, I discovered that there's two systems, because I was busy studying to become a certified financial planner. But on this side, by developing the Property Pro investment system, I saw that the lower the risk, the higher the growth. And on this side, people would say to me that the lower the risk, the lower the growth. And I could not get it in the beginning. But then one day, I thought, but And it actually happened in, I looked at nature, and I saw that in nature, we do not work on what we call a fractional system. A fractional system simply means that you have to give a lot, whereby you've got no control over that, in order to get a very small return or growth on your money. That is how that system operates. And to illustrate it, I'm using this in one of the webinars that I'm presenting, where I say that if you want a return of 1,000 rands or dollars or pound, wherever you may be in the world, I'm using rands simply because I'm in South Africa, but the principles apply anywhere in the world. So if I want that growth or that profit, and the insurance company or the financial system or the bank gives me a 10%, it means that I have to risk the red part, the 10,000, in order to get the 1,000. So if I want to get better growth, a higher growth, I have to increase my risk. So if I want to double my growth from 1,000 to 2,000, I have to double my risk. And proportionately, it means it's from 10,000 to 20,000 in order to be able to do it. Now, once you're in this system, you can see that this system can be manipulated so that there's a cartel, and therefore you're going to find that all these different, for example, in South Africa, there's 1,242 last time that I checked, unit trust, right? That's giving from a negative to the highest of 29% over the last 5 years on average. And if you look at that, that 29% is not going to make you rich. No matter how much you think that it's going, and they tell you that it's going to help you, it's not going to help you, even if you take your full income, your full salary, and you give it to them. So we have to step out of this mindset of risk-reward to asymmetrical, where we've got a limited risk, and we can determine that risk, and we can identify that risk with a 10x to 100x upside. That is the way that you're going to become rich. You cannot do it based on what they tell you to do it. And this is where the cryptocurrencies then came in, as well as the wealth creators method. So in 1987, I discovered the wealth creators method, and simply that changed my life. And this is what I want to share with you in terms of the universe. The universe does not work on fractions. The universe, the natural law, nature, works on multiplication. But we don't get it because the educational system took that power that we've got, that was given to us. We are creators, therefore we can 10x, 100x, a million X money or our ideas. But because we are limited by our own belief systems that's basically controlled by the system, we do not know and do not believe that we can do it. So when I first discovered this was actually when I looked at the orange tree, and this is what I'd like to share with you. So if I look at this orange seed, what is the potential of that single seed? I think that you'll agree with me that if it turns into a tree, an orange tree, that is going to start bearing fruit, and that is the potential. And then it can continue doing that for year after year for 20, 30, 40 years. I'm not sure how long, right? But here's another question. What is the value of that one orange seed? You see, for most people, there is no value in it because they buy an orange, they eat it, and they spit out the seed. It's got no value to them. But here's a question that I've discovered way back in 1987 is this, that how do you unlock the potential of the seed? In other words, how do you turn that potential into value? And this is where the trick comes in that no one wants you to know. The only way to do it is to have the skills to be able to do it. Once you've got the skills, right, you know when to plant that seed, how deep to plant that seed, what the soil mixture must be, the pH of it, when to give it water and stuff. That is a skill, and that skill is transferable and learnable, and it is actually very simple to pick up skills if you've got the right person that is prepared to share those skills with you. Okay, so it's skills. And if you continue with doing that, in 5 years' time, you'll start having oranges, you harvest the seeds, you plant it, and in 20 to 30 years, you're going to have a huge orchard. And that is where the value is, because the multiplication effect with all the oranges and stuff like that, and you know how to handle that and where to find the markets, you're going to find that you can become a multi-millionaire by simply doing that. Right, now here's the trick. What's the difference between a rand or a dollar or a pound or a euro? I'm going to use rand simply because it's easier for me to explain it that way. And a seed. The difference is, for most people, there is no difference because a seed has got no value. A seed has got no value to the majority of people. Only the people that has got the skill can turn that seed into value, right? It's got the potential, but not the value. You need the skills to do it. And exactly the same thing is true for currency, like the rand. The rand has got no value except for the value that a government gives that rand. So if I take 100 rand to Russia and I want to buy stuff to the value of 100 rands, they're going to laugh at me. In fact, they're not allowed to take the 100 rand from me simply because it's not legal tender in their country. And they know that that 100 rand note that I've got hasn't got is worth nothing, not even the ink on the piece of paper. The same is true with the dollars, right? So although the dollar is the reserve currency, each and every country is going to control and protect their currency. And even in South Africa, you cannot buy with dollars. It is illegal to buy with dollars. You have to go through the process, through the system, to exchange the dollars into rands. Otherwise, you cannot trade with that. That is how the different countries control the money supply that they've got. Right. So the truth is that it's got no value except for the value that the country where it's legal tender is giving it. Right. Now, this becomes crucial to understand, and this is the main reason why some time ago I took on a challenge, a 5-year challenge, where I said that I'm going to turn less than a rand into more than 10 million, and I've documented that process and put it on the internet, and this is validation of that, where the auditors verify the 79 cents I've turned into more than 10 million in only 2 years and 3 months. Now, why do you think that happened? Simply because I've got the skills. So for the majority of people, something like this will never be possible. The problem is they do not teach these skills, these 4 high value skills to us. And this is what I'd like to do during the next 52 weeks, to show you and how simple and easy it is to master these skill sets so that you can start doing this for yourself. So let's see how the system operates in order to keep you poor. So I'm going to use the 100 seed as an example, the 100 seed story. So if I've got 100 seeds, or 100 rand or dollars or pounds or euro or yen or yuan or whatever, and I've worked for that, right? So I put in the time and the effort, I convert that time, effort, skills into money. We call it a paycheck. I live within my means, and I've got a $100 or 100 rand, 100 units surplus. We call those seeds, and this is why I'm referring to seeds, because it can be in any currency. What happens? I will normally follow the traditional advice. In other words, I'm going to go to the system, and I'm going to look for experts, because most people do not believe and do not trust themselves in order to grow their money. They are not growers. So the expert then will look at this risk model, and according to that, allocate certain portions of the 100 seeds to different sectors or different classes of investments. And when we ask them, they're going to say, if we look at over the last 5 years, you can expect a return on investment of about 100%, which is about 15% compounded growth, on condition that you leave the money with them. That is normally the way that it works. Okay, so that simply means your 100 seeds will become 200 seeds in 5 years' time, on condition that you don't touch your seeds. Normally that's the way that it works. But here's the trick. What are they going to do with the seeds? You see, they're going to plant the seeds. So they plant the seeds, 100 seeds becomes 100 trees, and hypothetically, let's say that in 5 years' time, it starts to produce on average 400 oranges, And then each and every orange, there's, let's assume, 5 seeds. It, of course, depends on the cultivar that you've got. That means in 5 years' time, the system is going to have 200,000 seeds. 200,000 seeds. What do? They take 200 seeds out of the 200,000 and they're going to give it to you. You are happy because you've outperformed this cartel. This one portion is giving you a 15%, another one will give you 5% or 2%, and you're lucky you are getting 200 seeds and you feel on top of the world. But will you agree that that will never make you rich if you need 200,000 seeds in order to be financially free or to be able to retire? And most people over their lifetime will not be able to convert 100 into 200,000 seeds. This is just the way that the system operates. And I hope that you can see, in other words, what is their situation? What is their position? And if you understand this, you understand the basics of what you need to know. Their risk is zero because it's your seeds. It's not their seeds. They did not work for it. You take your seeds, you give the control away. They give you a promissory note that they will give you, if they can, the money back plus a growth. It's not guaranteed. I guarantee you that none of those contracts will ever be guaranteed because that is just the way that it works. The perception is that it's guaranteed, but it's not. Now, what does it mean? It means that they take your seed, because if it's their seed, you've got no control over that. They grow that to 200,000, but it's their seeds, it's their trees. For the rest of their lives, that is their trees. And then they give you back 200. Do you get it? So what's their risk? Is zero. What's their growth? Is infinite. And then they tell you and me that it is not possible, but that you have to give your seeds to them because they know how to deal with that. And this is what I'd like to share with you over the next 52 weeks, that it is nonsense, that it's a hoax, and that as long as we rely on the system to make us rich and other people to make us rich, we will never become wealth creators where we can do the stuff that we want to do, when we want to do it, how we want to do it, with whom we want to do it, without worrying about money. Because the trick is, unless we can get it 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times, and 1,000,000 times, that we put in, and learn and discover how to let our money work for us instead of we working for our money, we're not going to break this. And luckily for me, because in 1987, when I discovered this, I was financially free in just 7 years. So 7 years later, we were in a position where we could start doing the stuff, mainly because of property at that stage, simply because there was not something like cryptos. Nowadays, you can do literally in 2 to 3 years what will take most people a lifetime. And then you're going to outperform those people on condition that you are prepared to take the responsibility. And this is what I want to show you. Now, here in South Africa, a lot of people say, to be honest, that is crazy, it is not possible. So they do exactly the opposite to what they teach you and tell you and instruct you and want you to believe. Now, one of the biggest companies here in South Africa, and I can give you thousands of these examples all over the world, right, is Old Mutual. Now, if you go to Old Mutual's website, if they did not remove this by the time that you watch this, okay, it simply says, if you look for a story with humble beginnings, you're going to find that Old Mutual, John Furbain started the Old Mutual company with no capital. In other words, no risk. Exactly this that I've showed you. And that is the reason why I took on that challenge, to show you that R1, it cost me nothing. It was the structure, by the way, because I've got the skills and the knowledge and the competency to be able to do it. I structured a deal to cost me 79 cents. With no security, with no pledge from my side. I could not use anything that I had, because people say, yeah, honest, but you've already retired. The way that I structured that challenge was that I could not use any of the existing assets that I've got. I could only rely on one thing, and that is the 4 high-value skills that we built the Wealth Creators Method around. So the Wealth Creators Method is the difference between being poor and living a life of abundance. So how does it work? Let me share this with you, and this is what I want you to get, is this. Warren Buffett says, risk is when you do not know what you're doing. Right, so how do I know what to do? I need to get the skills, not the knowledge, but the practical skill sets. In other words, the competency to be able to do it. That is what I need, and that is what's going to make the difference. So the moment that I've got this skill, I haven't got the risk. So the more skills I've got, the lower the risk becomes. And in money, we do not want to invest a lot of money. We want to use our skill sets to create, to grow, to protect that money. And these skill sets, no one but at least no financial system or educational system will ever teach this to you, because then you're not part of the system anymore where they will thrive on your ignorancy. Right. So in 1987, I decided that I'm going to learn the skills. I'll take full responsibility. If I lose that money, it's okay, because I'm going to learn something. So this is where the educational system comes in. The educational system tells you, if you do not regurgitate the information that they give you, they're going to say that you are dumb and that you don't know what you're doing and that you are going to fail. But in real life, it doesn't work that way, because in real life, it's what you do and from doing that you're actually learning, unless, of course, you've got the right mentors to help you through the process. So, because someone already has paid the price. Otherwise, you have to pay the price. Now, check here. What if you take the 100 seeds and you decide to take full responsibility and plant those seeds yourself? Let's say in 3 months' time, you do what you think you should do. But in 3 months, there's just one little seedling or sapling coming up. What's your reaction going to be? It's going to be condition, I'm a failure, because 99% failure means that you're not going to pass that subject and you're not going to move on. Right. But what if you just stick to your guns? And in 5 years, because you keep on growing this tree, and hypothetically again, in 5 years' time, it starts giving you like 400 oranges. Each and every orange, 5 seeds. Guess how many seeds you're going to have? You're going to have 2,000 seeds. So if we take from a growth percentage, you've got a 99% failure ratio. You gave 100 seeds right in the beginning. But in 5 years' time, you're going to have 1,900 seeds, or 1,900% growth. This is the lesson that I want you to get. And this is what motivated me in 1987 to change the way that I think, act, and behave. And I said to myself, I know it's going to be perhaps difficult, and I know that I'm going to move into a territory that I've got no idea how it works, but I'm going to learn how to let my money work for me. And this is on my birthday today. That thing that I want to give you, that spark, that thing that's going to start with the process, that will change your life, but only if you are prepared to take this gift and really make this gift part of your life. You see, here's the trick. All skills, because it's got nothing to do with being a CA or a CPA or a CFP or an MBA or an engineer or a dentist or a doctor it's got nothing to do with that. Those are the professions that you use in order to make the money. But none of those professions will teach you how and give you the skill sets on how to take a rand or a dollar and turn it into $1 million. None of them. It's just the way that the system operates. And the nice thing is that all skills are transferable, teachable, and learnable, which simply means that any person, if you've got a burning desire, the same burning desire that I had in 1987, if you've got that burning desire and you are prepared to do it, you do not give up your job, you do not give up anything that you've got. You just start by getting the skills, not the academic skills. I was confused at that stage. I got the academic skills. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the real life practical skills that you'll need in order to 10x, 20x, 100x, and millionx your money. That is when you start becoming a wealth creator. Now, my friend, the financial system does not want you to get this. They do not want you to get it, because the moment that you get that, they've got a problem, because you're not going to use that problem. So what do I want to give you for my birthday gift? That is, of course, if you like this and you make a comment and we get at least 1,000 likes. Now, remember, I did not plan to do this. I didn't plan to do this. So I just want to see, before I commit, because my commitment is going to be for 52 weeks. In other words, a full year that I'm going to dedicate to this YouTube channel in order to help those that want the help, in order to 10x and 20x and 100x their money. The first thing that I'd like to do is to give you this book. It's called The Power Goals. And it's a blueprint to go from ordinary to extraordinary. It's a book that I wrote during the coronavirus story in the beginning, basically to tell people that the way that we set goals will never work. We have to, like the seeds, the story that I just told you, wealth and money has got nothing to do with the techniques and the strategies. It's got to do with mindsets and belief systems. And as long as someone else controls your belief system and your mindset without you knowing it, you're going to follow that they want you to do, which is to stay in the rat race. So you have to break this. And this is what this book is going to show you. Now, on top of this, if you subscribe, now we put the subscribe button at the later stage. At the moment, I'm just testing to see if this is what you really want. Or at the later stage, I can bring in a little in the description area. If you, in a week's time or 2 weeks, make it, today's the 16th of July, so make it on the 1st of August. I'm going to check this, and then I bring in the subscription button. So the moment that you subscribe, not only to the channel, but for this, I'm going to give you this book. On top of that, I'm going to invite you to a webinar where I'm going to explain how to apply and implement these power goals. And I'm going to show you in real life how I'm going to turn, let's say, 100 rands or dollars into 200,000 in 5 years. But here's a trick. I'm not going to take 5 years. I'm going to do it in a single year by applying the Wealth Creators method. But here's the trick about this power goals. If you do not know what you want, you're never going to get it. And a power goal, in order to be successful, we need to become the person that can make the goal come true. So in that webinar, I'm going to take you through the process, and then we're going to combine that. So the easiest, the quickest, and the fastest way for you to master these skill sets and get the right state of mind or frame of mind in order to be able to do it and to let go of those limited belief systems. And then I'm going to show you, if you want, what I'm doing with my cryptocurrency portfolio. Remember, this playlist will only be on this cryptocurrencies. Now, I've taken on a couple of challenges already that's going to be included. The first one was on for the 15th of April 2019. I said that I'm going to turn $1 into a cryptocurrency portfolio of $70,000 in order to take that and travel well, we've got a route with the 4x4s that we wanted to do from Cape Town up to St. Petersburg in Russia, and then through Europe and then back. That didn't happen because of COVID. Now, that little challenge a year later was $103,000. But then COVID came and we could not do anything. I changed the goal there from $1 to $1 million in 5 years. So that gave me 4 years to do it. At the moment, that is just over it's about $330,000. Of course, because it's in crypto, it fluctuates like crazy. But that is what it stands on today. Right, I'll edit a little thing in just so that you can see and that we can get the record straight. This year, on the 1st of April, we're now in 2021. I sat down and I think it was about in April. The Bitcoin price went up to $64,000 for a Bitcoin. And I said, I think it was on the 14th of April. And I said, I'm going to sell one of these Bitcoins and use the cash and then convert that one Bitcoin. Remember, it's actually part of the same challenge, but now you're going to see that I'm going to double the challenge. I'm going to turn one single Bitcoin, into more than 10 Bitcoins additional. So the rest that I've got, plus 10 Bitcoins. Okay, whatever the price of a Bitcoin will be, but in 5 years' time. So we've extended that term a little bit in doing so. But can you see that it comes down to each and every time there's a power goal, and because I know how to set it, I know how to do it. And I've also said that I'm going to take my Legacy Mastermind students week by week through the process to show them actually how I'm going to do it. Today's my birthday. And this morning when I woke up and I saw that we're not going to travel to Panama, I said, okay, how can I turn this negative into a positive, but into a positive not only for myself, but to maybe 10 people or 100 people or 1,000 or thousands of people? What can I do? And the first reaction that came, share this that I've learned and that I've experienced and what I've done over the last 5 years in cryptos. Share this with the world. But really share this, and share this on a YouTube channel where week to week we're going to get, I'm going to play open cards if you want to, and you can let me know in the comments. If you want me to share the coins that I've got in, I'm not going to tell you exactly when. That is reserved for my Legacy Mastermind and the Dreyer Crypto Strategy students. But I will break the coins down so that you can see what I'm invested in. And I'm going to show you what I've done in terms of the outcome. So that 10,300%, I will take you to the beginning when we talk about that coin. I will share with you the name of the coin, the ticker. I will share with you when I first bought it, why I bought it, what I saw as good in it, and then if I've sold it, when did I sell, and how many of them did I sell of the coins. So I'm prepared to play open cards with you, and then maybe take one coin at a time per week on top of that, and give feedback. But for my birthday, the reason, by the way, and I don't think I've mentioned it, if you subscribe, and the moment that you subscribe, and remember we're going to give it till the 1st of August and thereafter for a year. So when you subscribe and you've got a Luno account here in South Africa, I'm going to take 100 rands worth of Bitcoin and I will put it in your Luno account. What you do with that thereafter has got nothing to do with me. I hope that you're going to leave it there, because just that little account, in 5 years' time from now on, I can almost, just that, will have a growth of at least 5 to 10 times. Whatever the price may be when you enter into this transaction within 5. And this is the power of just one of the coins. At the moment, we've got about 70 of those coins with phenomenal growth. But this is to intrigue you and to start. Of course, if you want to cash it in, you can cash it in, because I know then that you know how to get your money on Luno and from Luno back. And that in itself is a skill set. And I want to really put you in a position where you can see the power that you've already got and how easy it is to learn these new skill sets. Because the moment that there's just 100 Rand, it's about, by the way, $6 to $7. It sounds like nothing. But if you can master just that portion to get that money into your hands, you know something that about 98% of the world's population, they do not know this stuff. And this is what I want to show you. And then I'm going to, the reason why it's 100 Rand is because this seed story, people say to me, honest, it's nonsense, you can't do that. I'm going to show you that I'm going to start another challenge on top of these challenges. And this is my birthday challenge, where I'm going to take $10, and by applying the Wealth Creators method, the investment method and the full method, that I can turn that same amount of money that you've got, the equivalent of, if it's in dollars or pounds or euro or yen or yuan or whatever, that I can take that and turn that into at least 200,000. In my case, it's going to be rands, but it can be also in dollars, in less than a year, simply because I know how to apply the Wealth Creators method, and simply because I'm not bounded by their rules and their regulations. I'm going to play the Wealth Creators game. And the Wealth Creators game is to have a life of abundance where we know how to create, to grow, and to protect by using the 4 high value investment skills. And this is what I'd like to take you on the journey. Now, on top of this, and I know this sounds crazy, and some of you may not think, but every week, and again, this is the plan on condition that I've got enough people that are interested to start it, because if we haven't got at least 1,000 people to start this process, where I'm going to give 1,000 people at least 100 Rand each, right? I'm not going to start this process, because the commitment is just too big to do it for 2 or 3 people. But the plan at this stage is then to give a price each and every week to the people that's been on that. Now, it's going to be preferably live, if we've got a live one. Otherwise, there will be a full week that you can visit that playlist and check that new video. That's the reason why you need to subscribe and click that bell icon, so that YouTube will notify you the moment that the next lesson is ready. Right. So each and every week we're going to have a lucky draw. Right. That is actually going to be the week after that. And then in that lucky draw, I plan to put aside $1,000 for a lucky winner. Now, maybe some weeks it will be one person that's going to win $1,000 in Bitcoin, right? In BTC. Or another week it may be 10 people that's going to share that 1,000, which gives us like $100 per person. But I think it's going to be fun. And you people can tell me, how do you want the next draw? 1 winner or 10 winners or $20, 20 winners? I don't care. So that is the way. Now, this is just to show my appreciation to you for watching that. And then at the end of the year, in other words, on my next birthday, that is, of course, if I'm there, then I plan to take the winners and do a lucky draw on the winners, and the prize will, well, it's going to be a surprise, but I think that you want to be in the draw. And for that reason, maybe it's not in your advantage if you give the prize to just one winner per week. So at least try, well, I'm going to be guided by you, but if there's 10 people, it's just a bigger chance that you've got for the big lucky draw. So if this is something that you would go through and learn and prepare to put in the time and the effort with me in order to see how I'm going to turn this. Now, of course, if you're my legacy mastermind, this information will be shared with you on a regular basis, and you'll see exactly what I do, when I do, how I do it, the way that you are seeing it at the moment with the other challenges. But the rest of you, you don't even have to subscribe and to become a legacy mastermind or a property investor or a crypto investor. This is just so that you can start changing your mindset and become the best that you can be in terms of investment. And I tell you that there's no other investment over the next 5 years, even though you may perceive this to be extremely risky, that will outperform this, the Wealth Creators method, where we apply to our cryptocurrency portfolio. So this is what I wanted to give you on this birthday. As I've said, I want you to subscribe, then come back before or on the 1st of August, check this, give me your comment, tell me that you like it, and then on the 1st of August, I think I'm going to put a link, and then within 15 days, if we can get at least, maybe it's before the 1st of August, I'm not sure. I'll need to get back to my team, because at this stage they think that I'm flying. Well, I've notified them. They thought that for the next month they're going to do nothing, or next couple of weeks they're going to do nothing. So they're in for a surprise. But I need their help in order to set up so that we can do this and get this out to as many people. Also, if you think that this is something that you would like, tomorrow or so I'm going to send the email at least to my database, informing them about this. They can have a look, and if I think that we'll get at least 1,000 likes on this one, and then I'll give you the instruction and start with the training as well. So thank you so much for being on my database. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'm Dr. Dreyer of the Wealth Creators Method, where we help to create, to grow, and to protect people's wealth. And on this specific channel, I'm doing it by teaching people about what I'm doing in terms of cryptos and the system that I'm using to get the growth that I've got over the last, let's call it 5 years, which I guarantee you, I think is phenomenal, and it outperformed a lot of, let's call it, gurus out there. So thank you once again so much, and I hope that you've got an incredible day.